10-minute warning to all medical staff and patients, ordering them to leave the Kamal Adwan Hospital. It says the internet will be disconnected and that everyone leaving the hospital must turn off their in Gaza killed as many as 50 people. Its director has confirmed 5 of those killed were medical staff. The hospital and its vicinity have been under near constant bombardment for weeks. Hani Mahmoud is live for us in Deir al-Balah in central Gaza. So, Hani, this 10-minute warning, it came about an hour ago for the occupants of Kamal Adwan Hospital to evacuate. But we also understand that the internet has been cut. So have you been able to have any contact with people up there to find out what's happening?
Yes, well, within the past few minutes, we managed to get an exclusive source who confirmed to us that the Israeli military has, in fact, stormed the hospital and forced everyone inside the facility to the courtyard. Now, let's just put something in context here. The past 10 days, there were only 60 people inside the hospital. The medical staff, the injuries, the patients who were trapped inside the facility could not go anywhere due to the ongoing bombardment and the use of explosive devices. As of last night and early hour of this morning, before the warning was issued to the medical staff inside the hospital, the number of people inside the facility increased to close to 200 people. And these are the people from the surrounding residential buildings who were fleeing from the horror of the unpredictable falling bombs, from the explosive devices that not only destroyed their homes, but also caught many of the buildings on fire. So we're talking about close to 200 people. The majority of them are civilians from the vicinity of Kamal Adwan Hospital who were seeking shelters of protection as of last night at early hours of this morning. Just an hour ago, the Israeli military issued a warning to everyone inside the hospital, give them a span of 10 to 15 minutes to evacuate immediately, including the medical staff, the director of the hospital, the patients and injuries, and everyone inside the hospital. And the source also confirmed to us the usual business is being carried out. The dehumanization, the torture is taking place at the courtyard of the hospital, separating men from women. Men are blindfolded and led into interrogation as of this moment in the hospital.
And Hani, do stay with us, because we want to show our viewers the extreme suffering that people are experiencing there in Gaza this winter when they don't have enough food and shelter. Displaced Palestinian families struggling to find enough food and to stay warm in freezing conditions. Government officials are saying that a 4th baby has now died from the cold. Those infants were aged between 4 days and 3 weeks. I mean, Hani, these are really tragic, devastating scenes of those young babies succumbing to the difficult conditions. Can you expand for us a little bit on what the situation is like there day to day?
Well, the fear right now that this number is going to increase given the worsening weather conditions now. The fact that people for 14 months now lacked every basic necessities to support and help them survive these difficult conditions, whether it was summertime or now the winter time, as temperature drops down to a very low degree, particularly for people in tent sites and tent camps near the coastal road, where a temperature would read a figure, but it actually feels less than what we are reading, particularly for people near the coastal line or here in the middle, in the central part of the Gaza Strip. But it's a combination of everything: worsening weather conditions, the malnutrition, the fact that mothers now, they're giving birth to babies, but they don't have the energy, they don't have the capacity to breastfeed because they don't have enough supplements, enough food supplies to help them do their motherly job, taking care of babies. And as the weather gets worse by the day, very windy, the fact that people are staying inside tents that are either made of of leathers or pieces of a cloth that are not protecting them from the cold weather, not protecting them from the rain when it falls. So it's a little bit of each that is leading to these worsening conditions, and particularly for vulnerable groups, the babies who are in need of energy, in need of food supplement, in need of their mother to be able to breastfeed them very well. In the absence of all of this, it's only natural to see these results are happening, as confirmed by the health ministry. 4 of these babies died of worsening weather conditions, as well as the lack of food supplies and basic necessities.
Hani, thank you very much for bringing us that update there from Deir al-Balat's Hani Mahmoud in central Gaza. Let's bring in Tamer Hammoud. He's an associate professor of public policy at the Doha Institute for Graduate Studies. He joins us today from Belgrade. Good to speak to you, Tamer. Let's turn our attention back to the Kamal Adwan Hospital in the besieged north. I mean, it's been the target of so many Israeli attacks during this 80-day period. What are Israelis wanting to achieve there?
Laura, the Israelis want to achieve a number of things. First of all, for them, in their mindset, they want a clean victory over Hamas. They want a formal position of that says that Hamas has capitulated, has surrendered, and it has no business in Gaza anymore. And they are emboldened and empowered to continue this horrific genocide, because I think they also have a green light from the new upcoming administration in the US, the Trump administration. We used to think before that Trump has put a deadline for Israel to end this war, but obviously now there is more emerging evidence that there is a high level of coordination between the upcoming administration, Netanyahu, and he has a green light to achieve this clean, undisputed victory, which involves Hamas's full capitulation. And this comes at the same time when the negotiations over releasing captives have also reached a dead end again. And Israel is famously known to increase such brutality tactics whenever they want to impose more pressure on Hamas when it comes to these negotiations. So all in all, I think we have an emboldened and empowered Netanyahu that, in light of the events that are happening in the region, out of which neutralizing Hezbollah, then the collapse of the Syrian regime, then now striking Yemen, Sana'a, Netanyahu feels that he has the time and he has the resources, and most importantly, the American green light to finish the job in Gaza, which means continue this genocide until there is no Hamas, until he can also get a deal that he can brag about it in the Israeli society and say, I have achieved my goals.
Because it does seem that this is another prime example of Israel, the Israeli military in Gaza, acting with complete impunity, targeting a hospital facility which is protected under international humanitarian law.
Well, I mean, when it comes to this, again, I mean, this genocidal war in Gaza has been proven that, that Israel behaves above international law. It does not care at all about international law, and for them it's business as usual, or this normal genocide has become a daily routine for the Israelis, because they understand that the international community is unable to stop them. And they are empowered, and they have the American support to continue this genocide. So I think this is where this to a large extent explains their recklessness, their brutality, this continuation of genocide, because they sit in this comfortable position where they realize that they are impune and nothing will happen to Israel.
And you said just before that the ceasefire talks have stagnated once again. What happened there? Because there was quite a lot of optimism just very recently that they were making progress, that we would reach a deal, at least before President Trump comes into power, President-elect Trump. So what's gone wrong this time?
Again, I think these negotiations, I mean, from the onset of these many rounds of negotiations, the Israeli objectives never met, they were never sincere about reaching to a final deal, because Netanyahu had the chance to to reach to such deals long time ago. But he has never been sincere, because he realizes if the captives are released through some negotiations or diplomacy, then he has to stop the war. But he doesn't want to stop the war, Laura, because in his mindset, if he stops the war now and the captives are released, then Hamas is still there more or less in some capacity in the Gaza Strip. For him, this is not a clean victory the way he imagines it. And I think this is the dilemma. Whereas Hamas sees these negotiations as intermediate goals to reach to a ceasefire, and then the withdrawal of the Israeli forces from the Gaza Strip and the starting of the reconstruction. So the two parties, Hamas and Israel, they have totally. But the reality is that Israel has the upper hand in this situation because it is the occupier.
Okay.
It is the country that has been launching this genocide, and it can continue doing this. So it's an asymmetric also negotiations and an asymmetric war as well.
Tamer Kamou, many thanks indeed for joining us there from Belgrade with all the latest on Gaza.